good day indeed. It is right here at Look Up TV. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kinyage. Thank you very much for making your time to begin your month with us right here at Look Up TV. It is the 1st of September 2025, a day when we do expect that your month is going to be a successful one. Your last quarter of this year is just beckoning. It's around the corner. So I do hope that the plans that you put in place at the beginning of the year have given you a couple of results that you can call your take home for the year. Today, we have a jam-packed session for you. We're going to talk to you about financial literacy, why it's important for you to be financially literate even as you go through your year. They say it's never too late to begin, it's never too early to begin. So this morning we'll be speaking to a financial literacy expert who's going to come and tell you why it is indeed important for you to have those skills even as you go throughout your year. It's a good thing then. Again, this morning I will be reporting that indeed we do have the sun with us this morning. It's been a couple of cold months across the country, and especially right here in the capital of the country, that is Nairobi. Let me just take you through what you expect as the day progresses then. It's not looking bad, it's actually looking really good today. I will just give you a snapshot of what it is that you expect this week. Our highs for this week are going to be 27. That's really good. So the sun is out, you can throw away your umbrellas and your jackets and jumpers, heavy ones that to be exact. Our highs are going to be 27, our lows are going to be 25. In fact, our coldest is today, which is at 25. That is expected all the way into next week, with our lowest for next week being on Thursday, a predicted 24 degrees Celsius. So we are back and running again. The sun is outside. It looks warm, it looks cool. Good temperatures for you to go out there and hustle. Good. A lot about talking about this morning. I know there's been a lot of happenings over the weekend in terms of sport, in terms of the political climate in the country. There's just a lot that we are going to talk about this morning. But just before then we jump into our big conversations this morning, let me take you through your dailies this morning, and I'm going to start with the Daily Nation this morning so that we see what it is that you are waking up to. Daily Nation this morning is talking about a ghost paradise. All right, that's the big story, and I'll be telling you what it is. The admission by authorities that rogue hospitals tried to steal 10 billion shillings. My God, from the Social Health Authority, that is SHA, has revived past scandals involving fraudulent payments for ghost government workers, schools and health facilities. That's a lot. All right. This is what they're talking about. Bogus employees, billions of taxpayers' money looted in fraudulent salaries for non-existent government employees, particularly in counties. Fictitious schools. Auditor General Special Audit has also found non-existent schools pocketed 3.7 billion in capitation funds over 4 years. Funny learners, authorities have also flagged inflated enrollment figures with reports showing schools steal more than 700 million shillings annually. There's also fake hospitals where audits uncovered lootings of billions through fraudulent claims under the state medical scheme, including the defunct NHIF. That's a lot of money that is getting stolen from the public. That's a lot of money. Now let's look at it from this perspective, because if indeed we are able to create fake schools and fake hospitals, and in fact, if you look at the amount of money that has already been gobbled by the fake schools, it's 3.7 billion shillings. So that's successful corruption right there. Like, they've managed to make away with 3.7 billion shillings. That's a lot of money. And then if you look at the flagged scandal within SHA as well, they're talking about how they were almost able to get away with 10 billion shillings. And this is the one that they have been able to flag. My God, that's just a lot of corruption that's going on in government right now as we speak. And you really have to take into account what 3.7 billion shillings would be in terms of public funds lost for you to get the true fury of the public outcry when we talk about corruption within the government. Interesting, really. Read that story on page 2 and 3 of the Daily Nation this morning. There's also a crisis over county tenders and new jobs. Now, governors have convened an emergency meeting that is supposed to go down today to address the stalemate over hiring 7,414 medics and the Treasury electronic procurement system, which has told county budgets. That story has been covered on page 4. Also, the president was speaking tough this weekend over those public officials and also governors who will not get into the electronic procurement system, just in line with what the PFM Act says currently as it is. And this is his quote: any government official who is not willing to use it can resign. That is according to President Dr. William Ruto, at a time when this system has been seen as the one that can actually get the country out of the grip holds of corrupt officials who, as we are being told this morning, in some government agencies have made away with upwards of 3.7 billion shillings. That's quite a lot of money that has been lost to corruption. Page 12 this morning, you're going to read about how AI is changing lives in new order. On artificial intelligence is rapidly reshaping every aspect of life, with its disruptive impact already evident. You're going to read that story on page 12. And more rankles as hiring of 10,000 police officers is in jeopardy. Now, deep divisions in the National Police Service Commission threaten process as tough wars between commanders and commissioners escalate into crisis. Read that story on page 8. Let's cross over swiftly then and look at what you have this morning on the Standard. It's one of those dailies that we've been following as well. Now, the big story really is how government officials are moved despite outcry and moved by outcry. Now, this is what the story is about. It's about costly friendship. They have survived scandals that could have ruined lesser men, from the looting of billions under their watch to questionable oil imports, a high death toll from road accidents and serious human rights abuses. But Aden Duale, Davis Chilchir and Kipchumba Murkomen remain untouchable. That is according to the Standard this morning, shielded not by performance but their unbreakable bond with the President, Dr. William Ruto. In Ruto's inner circle, survival is not about service, it's about loyalty. And scandal is merely the cost of doing business. That story has been covered on page 4 and 5 of the Daily of the Standard this morning. And by the way, when you look at the scandals that are going on in the government right now, the creation of the fake schools, the creation of the fake hospitals, the 3.7 billion shillings that has already been lost in the education sector to these corruption scandals, by the way, we're talking about this morning, in the healthcare docket as well, this morning, SHA, where there's outright push for corruption, where we do know that some hospitals have been favored in terms of the share that they're receiving under SHA, which has been in operation for 1 year. And by the way, if you look at what the ministry is saying, that they're in the process of setting it up. Do you think that just going by this, scandals that we're reading this morning in a major government ministries, should some of these faces that the Standard has this morning be going home? Is it failure to stop corruption in government from these ministries? And if so, should the heads be going home talk to us at Look Up TV across all your social media platforms. I am at Kiage Simba online then. Good. Let's also now look at other stories that are going to meet on the standard this morning. It's broad-based government at 1, all right? Chronisms and unlocking the country's potential. That story has been covered on page 6. Just for me to just give you a point of what the story is about. It's been 1 year since opposition leader Raila Odinga joined government. Opinion is still divided, all right? Was Odinga was in an easy way to power, or has the union stabilized the country and made the lives of Kenyans better? That's a question that is asked here on page 6, all right? And on the health check, they're telling you what to do if you want to sleep soundly. You're going to read that story on page 3 of the Standard this morning. Just quickly then, because I can see that our guest has walked into the studio this morning, and I do know traffic is actually started hitting our roads, because we do expect the last week was opening week. So from this week, by the way, you gotta wake up early, because traffic has gotten back to what it is on our Nairobi roads. Just before we cross over to our major conversation this morning, let me just take you online and see exactly what it is that Kenyans are talking about online then, just before we talk about our biggest conversation this morning. It's a happy new month indeed, and we wish you a very successful one this morning. That's why it's important for us to have that conversation this morning on financial literacy, so that your month can actually be a successful one, because it's not going to be happy if indeed you do not have those financial skills. Good. This morning, Arsenal and Liverpool are trending. I don't know whether it's important for us to talk about this. Is it important? I do not know. But I woke this morning with my colleagues really talking tough this morning. Guys, it's way early. Listen, it's way early. Last week, we're laughing at Man United being position 16. This morning, they're above Man City, all right? And they're only 2 points away from Arsenal. It's way too early. Trust me, it's way too early, all right? Let's talk after 10 games. This morning, I've also been told to talk about how Arsenal has been unlucky with the injuries that they've been getting this season. Yesterday, they lost one of the key players again in their title push, Saliba. Only played 2 minutes. They also lost Timber, all right? So if you put them together, then Arsenal, I think, has 5 first-team players. That's actually 6 first-team players that they've lost in the first 3 weeks of this season. That's a lot. And partly, this is why, you know, our squad has been impacted, our manager having to tinker so early in the season. That's why we're not really performing. All right, Chelsea, you got lucky again this weekend. I mean, but it is what it is, you know, because at the end of the day, it's the 3 points that you're taking home that really matter. Good. Also this morning then, let me see exactly what it is that, other than really Kenyans talking about the Happy New Month, we also have Eliud Kipchoge trending. And we do know why. If you do not know, then I'm not going to tell you this story. You must not be like a patriotic Kenyan this morning. Go online to Look Up TV and see why Eliud Kipchoge is trending. For me, I might say that it's time for him then to retire his boots. But then for a man who has given us all those accolades again to stand and compete professionally, I will tell you, he's a man who's got the spirit of not give up until you really give up. Let me just read one tweet here from Levi Munyeri, who's saying, Eliud Kipchoge is a great Kenyan. He should finally concede that all humans are limited. In his case, by age and hang his boots, all right? Then he goes on to say that the Raila syndrome of overstaying and jeopardizing one legacy is in play. I do not think that Eliud Kipchoge competing professionally now is going to taint his legacy. We do know why he's competing, and he's actually spoken about it. He said, I still want to be there. Compete. I know my time is up, but then I'm not going to hang my boots just because the rest of you think that my time is up. That, for me, is a man who's unlimited, you know? Maybe, Levi, you should go back and revise your tweet this morning. Yesterday, he cleared 9th at the Sydney Marathon. Congratulations to him. Here's what he's saying. Just before we take a tiny breather then and come back with our conversation this morning, maybe this would motivate you. quote unquote, and this is a story that has been covered on our social media platforms, that is a Lookup TV. I'm happy to go across the finish line. Listen, I have nothing to prove. My mission is to bring all the people together. It was not my day today. Above all, I have crossed the finish line to empower the people of Austria, to make Austria a running nation. Oof. Now, Levi, how can you argue against those sentiments? This totally, I've got nothing to prove. I've already proven it. You know, I've broken world records. In fact, currently as it is, he holds world records. For him, it's just about being there and finishing in top 10 again. It's big, it's huge. For me, I'd rather he just never retires. It's the face of long distance running as it currently is. Good. On that note then, let's take a tiny breather because our guest has come into the studio this morning so that we can talk to you about financial literacy. And this morning, we're going to draw you a couple of numbers on how women have been sidelines in this in this conversation for financial literacy. Look at the numbers this morning. Then generally start your month on a note, which is going to be very high on those skills that you need to have to call yourself financial literate. Once we come back right here at Lookup TV, my name is Simba Elijah Charles. Can I get talk to us? We'll talk back to you once we come back.
Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Lookup, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu, kwa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wasa wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hao sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi man.
Mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
People are there to belittle you. When people are questioning you,
if you don't move fast, of course, yes, you lose it, but then it's not us to push you.
But you do not know the God who has been molding me. What has he been doing to me?
The deep and mature conversations of empowerment for you with a curious mind and an appetite for oriented conversations.
I concur with what you're saying.
You plan your finances, you can easily live without a debt.
An engaging safe space of free expression and truthfulness with an upheld vibrance, motivation and happiness.
So many children who are there, they are not living their dreams.
Join us for deep conversations with Zipporah Gashushe every Saturday from 8 p.m. The Deeper Conversations on Lookup TV.
Welcome back. In case you are joining us, this is a Lookup TV. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. You're just in time for the big conversation this morning, the morning drift. Let's then drift like this. It's a new month, and people usually say, Happy New Month. I know you've received those messages this morning, and people wishing you a successful one in your businesses, in your education, in everything that you do. for us, we'd like to start you off like this, give you financial literacy skills and tell you exactly how you can keep on getting them as you chart your month. All right, let's talk about it like this then. In Kenya today, we do know that women drive over half of all micro enterprises, yet less than 20% of them offer formal credit flows their way. Now, the World Bank estimates that the gender wealth gap is at nearly 30%. And financial literacy remains one of the biggest barriers to women's economic empowerment, with circles mobilizing over 700 billion shillings annually and mobile money giving women unprecedented access to savings and transactions. The question is no longer whether women can build wealth, we've moved away from there, but is how fast they can close the gap. Now today, we sit with a financial literacy advocate and consultant, Elizabeth Nkuku, to unpack the financial freedom and what really this means for Kenyan women, how institutions can do better to bridge this gap, and the steps that every woman who's listening to us this morning can take toward building lasting wealth. That'll be a proper way for any other woman who's listening for us this morning then to start their month this morning. Liz, how are you doing? It's been a minute since we last spoke. It's been a year down the line.
Yes, it's been a while building the nation.
Nevertheless,
yes,
here we are. Let's begin like this then. When it comes to financial literacy, you would think that it's a conversation that every other person is chatting in unison. But then when you look at these numbers that have been given to us this morning, it's a clear testimony that women are being left behind. As a player in this industry, and as a woman player in this industry, it makes this a very important conversation. And these are the numbers that I came across when I was doing the research for this conversation, that more than 80% of adults now have access to a financial service, especially in this country where mobile penetration numbers are more than 100%, going by some people have 2 phones or 3 phones. All right? Now, why do we see such a high success but such a low financial health for women?
Thank you so much. And I have been thinking about financial inclusion in totality.
Yes.
And one of the things that we have done well as a country is access. But when you think about financial inclusion in totality, it's like a 3-legged stool. You need the access, you need the cost of capital or cost of credit to be cheap.
Yes.
But the one that really wraps all this together is the ability to make the right decisions. And how do you make the right decision is financial literacy. So yes, there's a lot of conversation about money, but is it in the context that is digestible? Yeah. So people don't think about, yes, I am borrowing this money because it's readily available on my digital or on my phone, but at what cost? I was actually looking at some data. Some of the mobile apps charges are about 365, but now when you tell people who are actually educated,
yes,
they actually they're like, oh, okay, that's the amount of money that I pay.
Yes.
So you realize that we understand money, but we do not fully understand what it is costing us. So you cannot talk about financial inclusion without those 3 things together. The access, which you have gotten really, really right. We have to talk about the cost of credit, and we have to talk about the literacy. How do I make the decision? How do I bring this all together? Because none of them can stand without the other.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a good thing that you're really attacking the next part of the question that I had for you this morning, that if we were to solve this financial health for women, what is the first intervention that you, Liz, will pick up this morning and say, if we're going to talk about this conversation, then let's start from this point? What would it be?
So the starting point is education, and that's where financial literacy plays in.
Yes.
And then wrap it up with structures that are able to help this person make the right decision, and also almost like be consistent over time.
Yes.
Because If we educate and we don't create structures, then we are back to the same level.
Yes.
We go back again to the grind and we find ourselves going again to the same things. So what should I do? I would really think about, let's educate these people so they're able to make the right decisions, but create structures around them so that they're able to actually execute those decisions going
Pretty
forward.
much. Good. Let's talk about one thing that we celebrate as well when it comes to mobile penetration in this country. Mobile money is an opportunity, just like you're putting it this morning. And I also came across this data that many women are into small businesses in the country, but then they do not scale as much as their male counterparts are scaling these small businesses. Or you find that women are essentially running these businesses, the mama bogas as they are coined, and it's a term that I do not like, because then it means that we are stuck here, and we don't want to make it an enterprise, as we call them, that it just remains that for a long term. If mobile money is an opportunity for financial penetration for women, how can they start turning this mobile money into an investment? Yes.
Already, there are a couple of investments that are riding on the mobile money platform.
Yes.
And I think if you go to something like Safaricom, there are a couple of options that you have there that you can easily invest in. But the question is, when I go take credit, how much am I being charged?
That's it.
When I place my money on their wallet, how much am I getting?
Yes.
In most cases, we do not ask those questions. The women are not at a point where they can ask that question: how much am I being charged, and how much am I earning? For them, they look at putting money away as a way of you're just saving your money there. You never think about, is the money working for you? So in as much as we'll continue having the penetration, which is good, and access that is very good, the question is they need to understand, how much am I getting from this money? So we need to walk the journey from I am earning to the point where my money is working for me and giving me options.
Yes.
So for people at the lower level, bottom of the pyramid, then they start off businesses at, I just want to survive. So we are in a survival mentality. And not because of anything that is bad or really unique to them. It's just that you need to make things work out.
Yes.
So the question is, what are there support systems that can be put in place or are already in place to actually help these people? The answer is there's a lot of opportunities, I think, both in the private sector and the public sector that is readily available for these people. Very few people know about them. Maybe we don't talk too much about them, whereby we create structures for scale.
Yes.
But I think more and more information is flowing. There is a lot of support that's coming in. So the question is, everybody who is in the ecosystem, how do we make sure that the person at the bottom of the pyramid know where to go for help?
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. Somebody this morning who saw your poster asked me to put this question to you, that when it comes to women, again, they gave me some very interesting data. They told me it might be unofficial, but then when you check, majority of the women who run these businesses, the small businesses, let's go literacy on literacy. Whether have they gone to school, have they attended the basic education, do they know simple money knowledge? Good. Then he said, you're going to find that this number is also quite low as well when it comes to this particular area. Before then, you start talking about financial literacy. Is that an area that we also need to touch on in this country, if indeed we're going to achieve financial health? How connected are these? Literacy and financial literacy.
Ask you a question.
Yes.
When we studied to the university level and we were thinking about compound interest, yeah?
Yes.
How did we connect that to our lives and making money at that point? So we didn't. We looked at it in terms of a mathematical formula to pass exams.
Yes.
And we did not bring it back to, if I put my 100 shillings, it's going to be 110 in a year's time. So one of the things that I'm really doing with my kids is, let's put it, you have your saving of 1,000, but if you give it to someone and they invest it for you, you'll get 10 shillings extra.
Yes.
Because you could go through school, but we still do not understand money. So in as much as the people who are running the law businesses could not have been lucky to maybe complete school or be lucky like us to go all the way.
Yes.
The truth of the matter is the issue is bigger than that.
Yes.
The issue is bigger than true literacy. It is a completely new dynamic that we need to think about, whereby we are thinking about money and growth. Whether you are the mamamboga or you are actually a PhD professor.
Yes.
And the reason why I also don't think that literacy or academic literacy also plays a significant role, you think about someone in, I come from Narok, someone in Narok, they think about it in terms of goats. They know that if I have 10 goats, I will put, over 1 month, or sorry, 1 year, maybe I'll have extra number of goats. So they look at it in that way. 1 is equal to this. They might not put it in terms of compound interest, but they know this is how it's going to grow. So in terms of financial health, I would really not, in as much as yes, academic literacy helps, but we need to attack it from a different level. Look at everybody and just tell them, you know what, the compound interest is real. We need to make sure that whatever money you have, whatever assets you have, you're actually sweating it.
Yes.
And where you're using someone else's money, what are you paying for it? Because you're either using your own money or using the other person's money. If you're using other person's money, remember, they are making money out of you. You are working for them.
Yes.
So the question is, at what cost?
That's it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Digital credit, again, it's an area where this country really can move away from because we've really made proper steps in it. But then, if you look at digital credit, you're going to find again that it's really trapping a lot of people in debt as well. That what is easily accessible in this country, again, is turning out to be a tool that has trapped majority of these women who started these small businesses in a debt. Now, 2 ways to look at it, Liz, this morning. President Dr. William Ruto tried to do something. When he came in, he said, we're going to open digital credit in this country, and spoke to majority of these companies and CRBs across the country and told them, you need to remove people with a certain amount of debt from the CRBs. Funny enough, majority of those were cleared out. But then I was looking at some data again yesterday where you find that 90% of the people who are cleared of the small debts are again back to the CRBs. They are negatively listed. People have gotten this digital credit in one way or another to go start businesses, but then they have been stuck now in this digital debt. Let's talk about that. How do you start getting yourself out of digital debt as a small-scale business owner who might be a lady at this point? And do you think that this is a conversation that the country needs to have? That when it comes to digital debt in this country, especially for mobile money, we need to have a different conversation around it, just like the president tried?
The answer is yes, we must, because else we move from financial stress to mental problems.
Yeah.
Because you get called by 3-4 people, you have their debts. Actually, I was looking at some statistics. For people who have started the journey of digital credit, they have at least 3 to 5 loans on average. In the average Kenyans, 3 to 5 loans. So at any one time, you're getting texts from 3 people on average. That is mentally disturbing.
It is.
And even if the amounts that you're talking about are very low, it is distressing.
Yes.
So the thing is, people start thinking about, how do I get out of this? And it has to start with a conversation of, when you have 2,000 shillings and 10,000 shillings on your, 2,000 shillings on your M-Pesa and Fuliza of 10,000, how much do you really have? So in most cases, people think that they have 12,000. So
whatever you're saying is not, whatever I was speaking to a friend of mine who was telling me, when I count how much money I have, I even count with my Fuliza limit.
And what is the cost of that Fuliza limit that you're willing to draw down? And maybe you're not using it for investment,
yes.
not even starting the business.
Yes.
So people need to start thinking about it in terms of cost. How much is this costing me? And how are people going to do that? I think it is good to normalize asking for help.
Yes.
Because at times you hear something, but you're like, oh, okay, I'll still figure it out. And I will say for people even who are very financially literate, maybe people in the banking sector, people in the financial sector, it affects all of us equally.
It does.
It does.
Even for the people advising us on how to get this credit.
Yes, yes, it can get that bad. So we need to think about it in terms of how do we stop digging ourselves? How do we make it natural that people ask, this 100 shillings that I'm getting that is extra, how can I get out of it? And I'll go back to what the president was doing with the Hustler Fund. Luckily, I was the first. I was lucky to run that. And one of the things that he was doing is give you credit at 8% per annum. It is the cheapest for sort of credit that you can get.
Yes.
But what did we do? We looked at the opportunity and decided, you know what? We are more political than we are financially and ambitious. And you take the money and you don't want to pay back. Who are you exactly punishing? It is not the president. You are punishing yourself, because whereas you could get money at 8%, grow your limit all the way to 150,000, even higher, people chose not to pay back. So you end up paying expensive credit and you had an option. So we need to be very cautious as people of the opportunities that come our way and make the right financial decision.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what I look at it in terms of, you have to be very cautious. Let's educate people across board of the opportunities that are there and the things that are sucking the opportunities that we have.
Yes.
And then make a conscious decision of coming to it and saying, this is for the benefit of Liz. It is not for the benefit of any other person. It's just that Liz wants to be a better person, and these are the options that they have.
Yes.
So I need to stop calculating 10,000 in Fuliza as part of my limit and just say, you know what, I can opt out and see and get to see another day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting. I gotta put this across to you as well. I got into a conversation yesterday with my mates when we're talking about debt and debt in business in regards to financial literacy. So I got two sides of an argument where some were very adamant that you can't start business in this country and have a proper revenue stream without debt. And some of the point that you can actually start a business without incurring debt, that you can grow incrementally, step by step, and absorb credit, which might not be necessarily debt to your business journey, which won't put you in a negative position when it comes to your finances. When you talk to people who tell you that I'm in debt because of business, where do you stand? Are you those who say you can't grow in business without debt? Or are you those who say that you can actually grow your business without incurring debt?
I think the answer is in between.
Yes.
And it depends at what particular point you're taking debt.
Yes.
And remember, we come from very different backgrounds. There are some of us who, for us to start something, we have to sell, do everything. Maybe you didn't have anywhere to start.
Yes.
So at that particular point, the only option you had was maybe get that 100 shillings. No, 100 shillings maybe may not start a business, maybe 1,000 shillings.
Yes.
And you grow with it. But the best way is to start with your own capital if you can. Save onto it, save for it. Because that way you create a base. So it's usually called bootstrapping. Bootstrap as much as you can.
Yes.
Because that is the best way to start. However, you will not be able maybe to scale as much. So bootstrap, make sure that you have created structure, you have the minimum viable product, and then now you can take debt to grow.
Yes.
That would be ideally the normal curve that someone would come in. Remember also, when you're starting out, not many people will trust you. So even when you want maybe to get that debt, it's very expensive. So at times that keeps us off from the debt, because you might also burden your business very earlier on. But remember, again, I say circumstances are very different, and depending on what you're doing, I never start up. I also think do not start a business that are very capital intensive without the structures.
Yes.
So in most cases, we get into financial trouble because we grow too fast. So we over-leveraged. So that becomes a big problem in terms of business. So instead of even thinking about growth, you're thinking about the banks calling you and people coming in. So my view is when you have to take debt, it is good that you have structures and the business does not necessarily depend on you as much, because then if it just takes you getting sick one weekend, the business also gets sick.
That's it.
So the answer is in between. If you must, make sure that you're getting it at a very affordable rate.
Yes.
I think you tell me which business you'll do that will be able to give you consistently 40% return year on year. Very few.
Very few.
But what is the cost of credit on mobile money today? You'll be likely to be paying 40%. So your average is 100%. So what that means is that you're constantly borrowing from somewhere to pay somewhere, because the business cannot be able to actually pay for it.
That's it.
And remember, that is just that business paying. You have maybe employees. Maybe you have not paid yourself. That's the other thing, that when you think about businesses, we need to start thinking about, I need to pay myself. Because if you cannot be able to pay yourself, then you're not in business.
Yes.
Yeah, you'd rather be employed at that particular point. So we need to really have the hard conversation and say, okay, am I ready to get into business? Is this business ready to really create the life I want? And then, and remember, you'll have a J curve whereby maybe for a long period of time things will not be breaking even, but as long as you can actually see how you're going to grow to the next level, then works. But make sure that you don't require so much capital. So do the minimum viable product that can be able to help you get into the market, and
Yes.
then think about scaling.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Good. But we're going to throw you this number as well, which is quite interesting in our conversation for financial literacy, that only about 8% of women in this country contribute to pension schemes. It's interesting compared to about 16% of men. That's twice the number of women who are doing this. When you look at where Kenyan Retirement Fund stands as of 2024, we were at 1.7 trillion. That's a big number. That's a huge number right there. So you can see again, majority of women are not in it. What is the problem?
I think two levels to it. So one, I look at it in terms of structurally, the employment landscape is skewed.
Yes.
How many, just go to the C-suite level.
Yes.
How many ladies are there? If you get into the boardroom where you have 10 people seated, how many ladies will you find? You'll be lucky to have 3 in most cases. So if you look at the way the pension schemes are structured, they have been for the longest for the people who are employed.
Yes.
We are talking about employment of about 3 to 4 million.
Yes.
That is the formal employment. So compare that with an adult population of like 30. So the proportion is very low.
Yes.
So the people who have been contributing formally into the pension scheme as a country is very low. Now take that again, the second iteration, whereby of this very low, you have 30% at best being women. So that brings the 8% number, right? So the challenge, first of all, is how do we make sure that the girl child is in the decision making, is actually employed and in decision making positions.
Yes.
That is very important. So how do we empower the girl child? And there's also a conversation about equality and everything, but the question is how much has it yielded in terms of results, and why, the main question is why are ladies not growing as much?
Yes.
So that needs to be tackled, and a conversation maybe we'll have another day.
Yes.
Then the other part is that the government has pushed, and now anyone who is employing, I think, must register with NSSF.
That's it.
And that is a significant positive step, and we should see more people coming in. But remember also, literacy comes in. How many of those women who maybe are employed actually even know that they need to be contributed for into a pension scheme? Not many. So you end up then seeing that they don't even know that this is their right and need to be demanded.
Yes.
So that's why again that number becomes low. Then the other challenge is, if again you push too much, it means that most people, if they are not in the thriving they're not thriving in the businesses that they're doing, they'll not even be able to get these people. So you actually bring a bigger problem that these people might even be unemployed. So we need to work on empowerment in terms of economic empowerment so that we can even be able to increase the number of people who are playing into that space. So I have talked about a couple of things. Really look at academically and in businesses, how do we get more people, more women seated in the table?
Yes.
Number two, so that will mean a lot of education. How big is the transition of the girl child to the employment and all the way to the workspace?
Yes.
So that is very important. Then what are the frictions that are making them not grow? So then make sure that you work on those frictions. Why are they falling off at some point? So that you can make sure that the women, the girl child is employed, is empowered. Then number three, we need to do a lot of literacy. People need to be able to demand. And I think the other thing about ladies, most of the time we take what is given.
Yeah.
And you think, when you read some of the books of some of the most successful ladies, maybe someone like, what was her, Sandalberg, one of the ladies from Facebook.
Yeah.
You'll realize that as these ladies, if we want same qualification, me and you, we get into the job market, I'll be paid at least 10-20% lower. Because we are nicey. We are nice people. We don't want to push. We don't want to be man. So we need to tell people it's okay to be a girl and to make sure that you demand for what you need.
That's it.
So that education is very important, and we need to inculcate it very earlier on. So education and literacy needs to happen, and it has to happen from the private sector.
Yes.
It has to happen from the government side, so that everybody knows that yes, this is a right and you need to get it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But even be outside these numbers that we're talking about here, when you look at this number, it's 1.7 trillion, and that is in a 3-point-something trillion economy. It's a very small number, Liz. I mean, if these are the official figures that we're getting from the government on where we are, then it's quite a small number. So it means that some people who are not essentially in the formal sector in the country, who should be contributing to their savings, are not. As it is, they are not. Is that also another lacking area? The majority of people need to be told, you're going to retire, so you need to start thinking about how your retirement is going to be.
Yes, it's actually what the government has done is even going to stop further. But by the time they were introducing the NSSF Act, they're like,
yes,
as long as you're employing someone, please, you must contribute. This person must contribute. So there is that thing of people are not contributing because they are also not. One, they thought they have options, and then number two, there was no legal framework that forced them to contribute. So I think that thing of the government pushing that, yes, we are executing this and we are increasing the pension contributions is a good thing.
Yes.
But beyond that, people have to be educated that, yeah, you will not be young forever. You'll be 60, 70, and you'll have to leave your seat for someone else. So what will you do? So there has to be a lot of conversations about retirement planning. And remember also, as you grow older, you need more money because you have depreciated definitely. So health becomes a big issue. So we need to have a lot of education and also come up with products that these people can actually afford. Again, I think that the government is trying, I would say. Like I would say again in the Hustler Fund, there was a saving component where people can actually be able to contribute towards their savings, and their retirement. So most people need to actually get into this. When I think about it's not consistent, because you see the problem with the formal employment or the way that side was, if you're committed to contribute 10,000, then I needed to contribute 10,000 all along. But now we have seen more flexibility, whereby if today I go, I am a Boda rider, today it was a good day. So I can actually send 1,000, tomorrow maybe it's not a good day, I send 100 shillings, So that flexibility is important. And what we have actually seen in some instances, I think in a place like Rwanda, the government matches. And that's what also the government did in the first year that Hustler Fund was launched, to encourage you so that you can actually save for yourself, because anyway you'll be my burden. So what they did is any contribution that someone had put in the long-term savings, they actually matched it. So for every 100 shillings that you had put in, they gave you another. They actually gave you another 100 shillings.
Yes.
Yeah. So if we can have most of those, educate people why they should be able to save into those things, and then government comes up with incentives. Private sector creates the framework that these people can use, and the MNO and how the access is, the framework is already there,
Yes.
and there is goodwill to use it. So the question is, why are we not doing it? I think for me it's an education matter.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Good. I want us to take a tiny breather after this question, so you only have 2 minutes to respond to it. Briefly, we come back and talk about it on a deeper level. In this country, we've been known for a chama culture, and chamas, by the way, is a, I think it's a phrase that's been associated with women in this country. You don't find majority of men in chamas. The formal side of that is that you're going to find a lot of circles in this country. I mean, we have over 350 regulated circles in the country. What is your feeling about chama and circles this morning, briefly, before we come back and talk about it?
I think it's the accountability. I would say I would look at chama as more of creating an accountability framework for us. So it creates the discipline of it, even as I'm about it. So the best thing about
I've been told that we have to take a break right now, just so we come back and talk about it.
Okay.
My director is telling me that we really have to take a break right now so that we run a couple of commercials and then come back and introduce that conversation. Because let's look at this figure. It's 350 circles that have been regulated in the country, and also cooperatives remain central to Kenya's savings culture. What does Liz think about circles in the country and chamas as well? Would it be a financial conduit for any other ladies listening this morning who wants to be financially active or literate? Once we come back right here at Lookup TV across all your social media platforms, talk to us. We shall talk back to you as well. Once we come back, still with Liz Goku this morning.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program,